We're back.
What's happening? Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. It's January, and at the beginning of the year, people tend to get pretty excited about making changes to their health and adopting new habits. And then usually by the time middle of January rolls around or early February, we receive a lot of messages from people saying, "Hey, I'm falling off the wagon. I can't really keep up with this. What's going on? I need help. So we thought today that we could talk about ways that you can stay on track, things that you can do in your life that are very simple, that are very easily accessible, that will enable you to create new habits and stick with those habits so that you don't feel like you're constantly starting and stopping over and over again."
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And we're going to answer questions today. So be active in the comments section. And it doesn't have to be as difficult as many people think it is, Cyrus. It can be pretty simple.
No doubt. It can definitely be simple. So we can talk about all of that because we want to hear from you, actually, because you guys are going to give us a lot of information about whether or not you find yourself consistent or inconsistent. So we got Linda from Oregon, Michael from New York, Mohammed falling from Sierra Leone in West Africa. I don't think we've ever had somebody from there before. That's incredible. Mary from Florida, Deb from North Carolina, Rob from Vegas. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining here. Very cool. Very cool. So why don't we start here? In the chat box, why don't you tell us what is one habit that you are trying to develop for 2023? A health-related habit that's going to help you become healthier, lower your blood glucose, lower your blood pressure, improve your overall health, that is not currently part of your daily, weekly regimen, something that you are trying to establish in the year of 2023 because you have identified that it's going to add value to your life. What is it? Let's start there, and then we can go a little bit more into, how to keep that consistent.
That's a great question. Cyrus, I've been trying to get a little extra sleep. I've been trying to go to bed a little earlier. And that's one habit I'm definitely working on.
Earlier than you normally do? So you're in bed by like 6:30 p.m. now? Is that right?
Exactly. That's what we're looking for. Wouldn't that be amazing?
What time do you actually go to sleep?
I mean, I've set the goal of I'd love to go to bed around between 8:30 and 9, but It's realistically ends up being closer to like 9:30 to 10, sometimes a little later, but I would love to make it earlier.
Yeah, that's impressive, actually. If you get to bed by 9 o'clock, you'd be crushing life. Now, what time do you wake up in the morning?
So between 4:30 and 5.
Okay, so you wake up before 4:30 and 5, and explain to people why you wake up so early, because that's way earlier than I want to wake up.
Yeah, so I wake up early because I'm training for an Ironman right now, and the full Ironman, which requires a lot of time. It's just time. You have to put in the hours to be able to do the endurance exercise. And for me, I've noticed this over many, many years. I have to get in the exercise in the morning. It has to be done before I start the workday. Otherwise, too many things get in the way. Whether you want to call it excuses or, a commitment to the success of a business endeavor or whatever, but like reasons come about that lead to an exercise session not happening. So it just has to happen in the morning. And that means I got to get up early to fit it in. And I really enjoy getting it done in the morning. It feels good to have that out of the way. It's kind of energizing. And I've also found that it's a little bit easier to manage my blood glucose when there is not a larger amount of like insulin on board from the various meals throughout the day. So I can have, a smaller injection of insulin, some little bit of snacks while working out, and I have much more control. And that also simulates the actual event. So I have a half marathon coming up, and these events, they start early in the morning. So, and you have to get up early to get to these events and get ready and park your car. So it's kind of like developing a habit for race day as well.
How about this? I'll commit that while you're running your half marathon, I'm going to sleep the entire time.
That's a perfect deal. You can do
it'll be like a half marathon of sleeping. What's that?
Yeah. That's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, if sleep is important to you, sleep is definitely important to me. I can do my part while you're out running. How's that sound?
I appreciate that so much. That's huge.
I'm here for you, dude. Anytime. So you actually have developed a couple of different habits. Number one, you're exercising frequently. Number two, you've signed up for an Ironman and you've committed to the training process, and it's a rigorous training process that involves biking and swimming and running, a combination of those workouts, and it requires that you get up earlier in the morning, which means you're like, okay, cool, now I got to go to sleep earlier. So it's almost like shifted your entire clock by like an hour or 2 hours earlier, and as a result of that, you're making changes even the day before in order to prepare for the exercise the next day.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good to hear that, actually, because many people know, and I've told you this 1,000 times, I'm also addicted to working out. And, working out for me is a passion, and it's something that I also find to be very helpful first thing in the morning. For many of the reasons you mentioned. Number one, better blood glucose control. Number two, it just gives me a feeling like I've done something so challenging first thing in the morning that everything else in the day is just simple. Right? You can present me with a bunch of challenges, work-related questions, communication issues, and it's just like, well, probably not as hard as the workout that I just finished, right? I'll figure it out. And then, it just enables me to be a little bit more mentally free. But if we go to the chat box here and take a look at the question, or the answers to the question that I asked, which is, what are you trying to establish for 2023? Alyssa says consistent workouts. Same tip that we're talking about, okay? Consistent workouts. Michael says eliminating oil when I cook. Aman says how to reverse fatty liver. Age 43, living in India. Welcome, welcome. Christine says consistency. Christine, I want more information. Consistency in what? Consistency in eating, consistency in exercise, consistency in fasting, consistency in being consistent. What is the consistency you're looking for? Rob says trying to get full while eating less. That's a great one, Rob. We got some answers for you. Margie says drink amla green twice a day. Ooh, that's a great habit. I like that for sure. Judith says planned eating, which is something that Robbie does very well, and he can talk about that for sure. Cynthia says eating a salad every day. That's a good one. Taz girl says better eating habits. My fault. Okay. Marge says not to bring junk food vegan into the house. Great. Maria says consistent exercise, swimming. Jackie says start to work out 5 days per week at least 30 minutes. Amazing. Wendy says daily meditation, deep breathing, whole food, plant-based eating. That's a lot of change, Wendy. Let's go back to that one. Wendy, backwards. Boom. Daily meditation, deep breathing, whole food, plant-based eating. I'm going to stop here for a second. The reason I'm going to stop is because I like what you've put on the screen, but I'm afraid that that's too much. And the reason I say that is because what we have observed over the course of time is that if you try and bite off more than you can chew, you can end up not feeling successful in many of the habits that you're trying to acquire. Okay. Habits are hard to develop over the course of time. Psychologically speaking, humans have a very challenging time creating new habits and sticking with those habits. So rather than trying to create 3 new different habits, which each one of them is a whole universe of things to think about and exercises to perform, my recommendation would be make it simpler. One habit, literally one habit. You tell me, would you rather start with daily meditation or deep breathing or whole food plant-based eating? What you've written on the screen could easily take you a full year, if not longer. And again, what I don't want you to do is try and start doing daily meditation here and deep breathing exercise here and whole food plant-based eating here. And then at a certain point be like, oh my God, this is exhausting. I don't have the time. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm failing. This isn't working. And then you end up falling into the camp of people who are like, guys, I'm trying everything. I'm trying so hard. I just don't have the willpower. That's what a lot of people end up concluding. They say, I just don't have the willpower to be able to make these changes. I wish I had more willpower. And the answer is, it's not about willpower. It's about creating an environment in which you can be successful. So, Wendy, I do not mean to be picking on you in any way, shape, or form, but I just want you to simplify what you've put on the screen here because I think it might be too much. Okay.
Good point.
Amy.
So true.
More consistent food prep. There's always something to grab. Okay, that's very good. That's very good. Sylvan, drink more water and stay away from crap food outside the home. All right. Let's stop there for a second. That's a good one. Okay. Sylvan, drink more water and stay away from crap food outside the home. All right. Let's talk about this one because this is something that a lot of people experience, myself included, Robbie included. It's hard to venture out into the world and not interact with crap food. In fact, I can't go as much as like 500 feet outside of my house without interacting with crap food. It's all over the place. We live, unfortunately, in an environment that is filled with fraudulent advertising, refined and packaged processed goods. I will say ultra processed goods, and food that is designed to be convenient but not health promoting. So if you walk into the world and you try and eat something that's, healthy, quote unquote healthy, and I'm going to use the word healthy to describe what the Mastering Diabetes method describes, which is low fat, plant-based whole foods, it's very challenging. Okay. You're not going to find that at your local convenience store. You're barely going to find that. You might find like a banana or an apple. That's pretty much it. Right. If you go to the grocery store, even then, most of the grocery store, the center 80% of the grocery store is packaged and processed stuff. And a lot of those foods contain extra additives and texturizers and quote unquote natural flavorings. And that stuff actually is ultra processed ingredients that are going to increase your risk for many chronic diseases. So you walk into the grocery store, and even though that's the place where you're supposed to be able to find a whole collection of health promoting foods, in your head, you're like, oh crap, this entire center section of the store, like 60 to 80% of it, I'm just not even going to go there because it's not the right place for me. And instead you have to direct your attention towards the produce section or the bulk section, where you can get things that are unprocessed or minimally processed that are actually health promoting. And then from there, you have to spend time to try and gather enough food so that you can have it in your home. You can have it in the car if you drive a lot. You can have it in your gym bag if you go to the gym frequently. You can have it at work, and then you can construct a lifestyle where these foods are easily accessible. Okay. So it's hard is what I'm trying to say. It's hard, but it's totally doable. Robbie, give some tips.
I mean, as you're talking about this and sort of talking about the experience in going into a grocery store, it makes me think of the weekly meal plan that we put together and how we put a lot of time and effort into making this process something that you don't really have to overthink. And so if you have the weekly meal plan, every week, every Thursday morning, you get emailed a shopping list. And if you just made the one commitment, which is that I'm going to walk into this grocery store and I'm only going to buy what is on this shopping list, and you commit to that one decision, then a bunch of other decisions are going to fall underneath that. But that one decision could change your life. And then once you've purchased the ingredients, you will have invested these resources that the chances of you not actually putting those foods to use is going to be slim. You've already put so much money on, you've changed your environment, which you mentioned earlier, Cyrus. You've now surrounded yourself with a bunch of healthy ingredients. You have all the recipes outlined. We've done all the thought thinking for you about when to eat these recipes, how much to eat, how much fat do you need per meal, how much protein do you need per meal, how many grams of carbohydrate do you need, how should you transition? Like we thought about this week 1, week 2, week 3. How do you optimize this experience of actually living this lifestyle and making it sustainable? We've done all that for you. So I just think it simplifies everything. So if you have not already taken advantage of our weekly meal plan, and we have a bunch of bonuses. So if you go to this URL that's on the screen, masteringdiabetes.org/eat better, you're going to see an incredible amount of bonuses. So I highly suggest you take advantage of that if you're looking to simplify your life.
Okay. So one of the things that I've noticed actually that enables Kylie and myself and Indigo to eat as many whole foods as possible and avoid the temptation of packaged and processed foods, because you know what? We're humans and we fall just as susceptible to those temptations as you might feel. One of the things that we've noticed is that we have to order or we have to purchase enough food to last us approximately 7 days. Okay. If we don't do that and we open the fridge and the fridge looks empty, or we open the pantry and the pantry looks empty, then it's easy to just say, man, there's really nothing here. I'm just going to go to the store and pick something up. And then the minute you go in the store, boom, all of a sudden you're hit with more temptation. Okay. So avoid the temptation that the outside world provides by trying to make less shopping trips. That's one powerful, powerful tip that really makes a big deal. Okay. I've talked to a lot of people who say, you know what, like, I don't really shop for foods in large quantities. I just go to the store every day. go to the store on Monday. I go to the store on Tuesday. Maybe I'll go to the store every other day. And they make 3 trips, 4 trips, 5 trips a week in order to purchase food in small amounts, a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit the next day, and so on and so forth. Okay. I highly recommend not doing that unless there is a very, very explicit reason why that has to be the case. Like, my fridge isn't big enough to hold a bunch of food, or I don't have enough storage in my house. Unless it's one of those reasons, I would highly opt against doing that, because every time you enter the grocery store, every time you have to go do a food shopping experience, you're going to get hit with temptation. So minimize the chances of getting hit with that temptation and have enough stuff in your house. And that right there is going to be a simple thing that you can do to try and avoid having to constantly say no thank you to the outside world, because that can become energy draining and create this problem called decision fatigue, which we wrote about a lot inside the Mastering Diabetes book.
Okay, so I think that's tip number 1, Cyrus. I think people should get out their pen and paper or take a note on your phone. But tip number 1, if you want to keep your eating on track, is you have to fill your home with ingredients that make you more insulin sensitive. Step 1.
Step 1. And I'm going to say step 1B is to actually get rid of the refined and processed foods that are sitting inside of your cabinet right now that may already exist, right? A lot of times I've seen this before where people, they have like this bag of potato chips or like beef jerky or something like that. And they're like, oh, trust me, let me just finish this bag. And then after this bag is finished, I won't buy anymore. And my answer is, don't just say I'm going to finish that bag, because every single bite you take from that bag is leading you in the wrong direction. Take that bag, take it out of your cupboard, give it to a friend, donate it, hand it off to somebody else, and just be like, listen, I don't want this because this is not me food. This is the equivalent of cat food, and I'm not a cat, so don't give it to me. Okay? Pass it off and get rid of it, because out of sight, out of mind. Get it out of your house, and then it's going to make your life a lot easier. And again, you're not going to have to say no to the temptation of either the outside world or the stuff that's in your cupboard that's talking to you on a daily basis.
Okay? Cyrus, you're not a cat. You're not on the ketogenic diet?
I'm not on the ketogenic diet, although, man, our kittens, they love eating their raw meat. And I look at it and I'm just like, wow, that is terribly, terribly unappetizing. Let me tell you.
Oh, that's cute. That's funny.
Okay, so let's go back. Debbie says fasting. Okay, cool. You want to develop a fasting schedule? I want more information, Debbie. How often? How much? Give me more information, because you got to be very clear about what you're trying to accomplish. Teresa, regulate my intermittent fasting schedule to my work schedule. All right. Might want to talk about it. Let's keep going. Let's go. Prep, meal planning, cooking sides I can eat because I cook for my family. Okay, so Fernanda, going back to what Robbie was saying about the meal plan, the weekly meal plan could actually be a game changer for you, because the goal is to help take away the confusion of what to eat. All right, get rid of that confusion, get rid of that having to make 1,000 decisions about what to eat, how much, and how to prep, and what to buy, and all that. The weekly meal plan is specifically designed to teach you all of that. So we give you 21 recipes per week. You just pick and choose from the recipes, and then it'll tell you exactly what to buy at the grocery store. It's just that simple. It tells you how to make the food, it tells you what to make, and the recipes are freaking delicious as far as I'm concerned. Every time I look at a weekly meal plan recipe guide, I'm like, oh my God, I want to eat all of this food. It's very tasty.
And the pictures are beautiful too. It's really an enjoyable experience. When your food is beautiful and it's colorful, it also helps you get excited about eating it. So definitely check out these recipes. Over the course of a year, you're going to get over 500 recipes. It's pretty incredible. Like, it's, I think, the greatest deal that we have. It's sensational. So check it out.
Agreed. Okay, so let's talk about staying active and moving more and move more than riding bikes. So basically, let's talk about, how do you create a consistent exercise regimen? What are some of the psychological tips and things that happen inside of your head that have enabled you to become consistent in your exercise pattern, Rami?
Well, I would say the biggest impact for me has been surrounding myself with other athletes, joining a group. So when I decided to do the Ironman, I have a coach, but that coach comes along with a community of other people who are also in that coach group. So you end up meeting people to do workouts with. And that to me is like the biggest thing, because once you're there, you're with other people. You kind of, you don't want to just do nothing. I mean, nobody wants to do that. Like, you're there, like you're gonna participate with the group, and it's gonna be inspiring. So that to me is number one. And then I think, there's small things that people say, like, like I make it convenient in the morning. So everything I need to go do the workout and show up on time has been prepared the night before. So just getting yourself ready and reducing excuses, I think, is also effective.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I like this idea of joining a community. It's really powerful. In the same way that we tell you people to, your environment dictates everything about you, right? If you are trying to adopt a whole food plant-based diet, but you live in a house with people who tend to be carnivorous or eating a ketogenic diet or a low carbohydrate diet or standard American diet, it's hard. There's no question, because you feel like you're always swimming upstream. You're going against the tide, and it's like you're always having to fight and, work harder than is necessary in order to just put healthful foods inside of your mouth, right? It's easier if your family already eats similarly. It's easier if you're hanging out with friends and they also enjoy eating low-fat plant-based whole foods. It's easier if you go to a restaurant and they serve acai bowls and smoothies than it is to eat at a restaurant where you have to pick and choose a bunch of sides off the menu, okay? So put yourself in an environment where the easy choice becomes the choice that, the healthy choice becomes the easy choice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. Put yourself in an environment where the healthy choice becomes the easy choice. All right. So what Robbie said, put yourself in an environment where the healthy choice becomes the easy choice. He surrounded himself with a bunch of athletes, because if he does, then the chances of him following through on his exercise regimen goes up, because that's just what other people do.
100%.
Right? Same thing with me. When I go to the gym in the morning, I'm hanging out with a bunch of CrossFit athletes all day long, every single day. And you talk about CrossFit, you do CrossFit, you do it again. And before you know it, all of a sudden you're like, great, I'm addicted to doing this sport. This is awesome. Right.
That's right.
So let's see, there was a question. Margie basically says, I'm trying to stay active more than just riding a bike. Okay, Margie, tip number 2, find a group of people that are doing the thing that you want to do and then go join it. Okay. Maybe there's a walking group. Maybe there's a swimming group. Maybe there's a group fitness class at the local YMCA. Maybe the gym that you're already part of has a group fitness class. Maybe there's an exercise trainer. Who cares? Join a community of people that are doing the thing that you want to do, and your success becomes inevitable. Okay. It's not about willpower. It's about your environment.
I love it.
There it is on the screen right there.
Yep. Write that down, guys. Take a picture of your screen. Take a screenshot. Take action on this. Well, I want you guys, we do this show every Friday at 1:00 Eastern. I would love to hear you guys come back next week and let us know that you took action on one or all 3 of these tips today.
Okay, here we go. What other questions are? Eating healthy fruit, says Mohammed. Okay, I like that, Mohammed. This is great. Eating healthy fruit is actually one of our favorite things to do. If you haven't noticed already, we eat tons of fruit per day, 15 to 20 pieces, easy. Okay, Marjorie says, I don't eat anything after 6 p.m. Good. That's a great habit to develop, Marjorie. I like that. Linda, eat a well-rounded meal, sides added to make a full meal instead of main dish only. That's a great one. I like that a lot. Okay, Gina says, avoid all processed foods. Amazing. Okay, so that's a tough one. It's a tough one, but it's definitely doable, because like we're talking about, you can go to the grocery store, you just avoid the center of the grocery store, and you can go to the produce section, go to the bulk section. That's where you're going to find the majority of the food that in the grocery store that's not processed. Okay.
100%.
Tyra, gets 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. All right, let's stop on sleep. This is a big one. Sleep is becoming a bigger topic in the world of health today. It's the next trendy topic. I hate trends. I really do. But sleep is important, and I'm going to be the first person to admit that. Okay. 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. I would say get not 7 to 8 hours of sleep tonight. You're getting between 8 and 9 hours of sleep per night. Okay. Increase it by 1, because studies demonstrate that people who get a minimum of 8 hours of sleep per night actually not only have the best short-term health outcomes, meaning lowest cholesterol, lower stress levels, lower A1C, lower fasting glucose, but also have longer life expectancy. There are studies now demonstrating that people who don't sleep well today die quicker. I'll say that again. Studies are demonstrating that people who don't sleep well today die quicker. I don't want you in that category. Okay. So what are some simple things that people can do to get to sleep earlier, just a little bit earlier, to try and help them stay asleep for a longer period of time?
One of the biggest things you can do is you can start dinner earlier and finish dinner earlier. It's going to have a huge impact on when you fall asleep. Huge.
Okay. So what time do you start dinner?
I try and start dinner around like 5.
Okay. So Robbie starts dinner 5. You're done by dinner about what time?
6.
Okay. And then what you're in bed by, you said 8:30 or 9. So there's basically like a 2.5 to 3 hour gap in between the time you're done with dinner and the time you go to sleep.
Correct.
Okay. And what benefit does that have?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're living with diabetes and you're looking to optimize your blood glucose control and lower your fasting blood glucose, it gives you a greater gap of time to process and metabolize the food that you're eating. And it increases that, basically, your fasting window. You're not doing an actual like 16:9 or 16:8 in that case, but you're going to be increasing that window, which, I mean, Cyrus, the benefits of, a fasting essentially. I mean, it's like a mini fast to a certain extent. There's a lot of benefits.
For sure. So it makes your blood glucose control easier in the middle of the night. It will lower your fasting blood glucose the next morning. But another thing too is that when you are in what's called the postprandial state, right? The postprandial state means after a meal. The postprandial state usually lasts anywhere between 2 and 3 hours, where there's an active digestive process which is happening inside of your stomach, your small intestine, and your large intestine. So when there are nutrients inside of your digestive system is active in trying to digest and absorb those nutrients and send them to other tissues, so those nutrients can be absorbed by other tissues like your brain, your liver, your kidney, your muscles, and beyond. Okay. Active digestive processes take a lot of energy. Okay. An active digestive process can take up to 10% of all the energy that is currently of the energy expenditure that is happening at any given moment in time. And 10% may not sound like a large amount of energy, but it is. Okay. If you go to sleep and you're actively digesting food, not only does that mean that your blood glucose can vary, not only does it mean that your insulin output can vary, not only does it mean that your growth hormone output can vary, not only does it mean that your glucagon output can vary and beyond, but it actually is requiring energy which could otherwise be directed to other tissues. Okay. In the middle of the night, your brain is your prize organ. Okay. Your brain is your central computer whose job is to consolidate all the information that it learned in the prior 24 hours or more and make sense of it and compartmentalize it and store memories and put information where it's supposed to be. And then also to get from alpha brainwaves down to beta, down to delta brainwaves, and then put you into REM sleep. That's where you get the restorative sleep that's necessary for improving cognitive health and for also repairing tissues all throughout your body, repairing your liver, repairing your kidneys, repairing your vasculature, repairing your heart, and repairing your muscles, especially if you're an active individual. So the goal is to try and get into REM sleep and stay in REM sleep. And one of the things that you can do in order to do that is to try and limit the amount of food that's in your digestive system, because that way it just literally diverts more energy towards your brain so that your brain can do its job.
I love that.
Okay. So number one, try to put a gap of like 2 to 3 hours or so between when you're done eating and when you go to sleep. But number two, I would also say falling asleep is a process. Like people have to, implement a series of tasks in order to try and get them to go to sleep. Number one, turning these guys off. Okay. Turn off your iPhone, turn off devices, and try not to have light hitting your eyes, because that can actually delay the production of melatonin, which then prevents you from going to sleep. Okay. So limit your uses of devices. And one thing that the Shares Eyes, Dean and Aisha Shares Eye has shared with us, is that if you take a warm shower in the evening hours, what ends up happening is that it dilates blood vessels during the shower. And then when you get out of the shower, you go from a hot environment into a cool environment. And that right there then contracts blood vessels, and it actually begins to prepare your brain for sleep. So if you can take a warm shower, get dilated, and then get contracted as soon as you enter a somewhat cooler environment, and keep that environment relatively cool as you prepare for sleep, that actually helps you get to sleep and that can help you stay asleep for a longer period of time. So that's a simple thing that you can do at the end of the day, and it has a very powerful effect.
It's a big deal. Hey, Bess, can you flash tip number 1 again? I want to make sure people have that written down, or maybe you have to rewrite it. But okay, we got tip number 1 right here. So fill your home with ingredients that make you more insulin sensitive. All right. And if you want ingredients that make you insulin sensitive, just get the weekly meal plan. And everything on that list is going to help you optimize your insulin sensitivity. And of course, you have to get rid of the processed foods. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, Cyrus, this was about finding a community. All right. That's going to, they're basically doing what you want, right? Surround yourself with people who have what you want. And this is by default, basically taking you away and reducing the time that you're spending with people who are perpetuating those old habits, right? You start hanging out at the bar in the evening. That's going to help you get a different result than if you start hanging out at, do an evening CrossFit class, right? Okay. Cyrus,
Correct.
What's tip number 3?
Right tip here. Number 3. There we go.
Is that the same as number 1 or number 2?
Let's go back to number 2 one more time.
Actually, it's a little bit different, right? So number 2 is about community.
Yeah.
And number 3 is basically about adjusting your overall environment to make the healthy choice the easy choice.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's add tip number 4. Add tip number 4 is basically perform an evening ritual, literally a ritual, a set of actions that is going to prepare your brain for sleep. And that can include limiting your what's the word? Your use of devices. Number 2, inserting a 2 to 3 hour gap between when you're done eating a meal and going to sleep. And number 3, taking a warm shower. Okay. If you can do those at least one of those 3 things, and then eventually all 3 of them, you're going to be able to get to sleep. Now, then we can have an entire discussion about how to stay asleep, because that's a whole separate issue. But these are things that will help you get to sleep and prepare your brain to enter deep sleep and eventually REM.
This is beautiful. I love that. I love it.
Perfect.
Now,
okay.
I have to get going to another meeting, Cyrus.
You don't have meetings. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. Okay, this has been very helpful. So we are going to be back here every Friday, same time. What I would love for you guys to do, if you want to simplify your food prep, like we have been talking about, go to masteringdiabetes.org/eat-better, pick up the weekly meal plan. I think you're really going to like it. We've had hundreds of people who have written to us telling us just how powerful it is and how much it simplifies and makes their life more convenient. And let's be honest, in today's world, convenience is everything. Okay. If we can help make your life more convenient so that you have to think less, then we're happy to help. Okay. So check out masteringdiabetes.org/eat-better. Pick it up if it's helpful for you. And other than that, we would love for you guys to kick some butt. Now, there's one other thing. If you are on our email list, which I hope you are, we are currently in the process of of sending out emails to attend our 4-part video series. The 4-part video series is called How to Unlock Your Best A1C and Ditch Fad Diets for Good. Okay. If you want your best A1C, if you want to ditch fad dieting for good, if you want a permanent health transformation, you must watch this video series. It is very, very important. So if you're not on our email list, go to our website and sign up for the email list. If you are on the email list, then look for emails from us to go watch this video sequence. It's going to make a big difference in your life. And we've already had a lot of people write to us telling us how powerful this information is. Okay, so check it out. And I can't wait to see you guys next week.
Absolutely. Cyrus, I'm going to check one thing. So to get on the email list, what's the best way to do that? I think you go to the footer. No, that's not going to work.
Yeah, just go to masteringdiabetes.org.
Yeah.
And there's multiple places where you can enter your email address. You can go to the very bottom of the page. You can enter your email address. We'll give you a book, send you a book for free, send you a free chapter of our book.
That's right. Any blog post will basically have the opportunity to enter your email at the footer. Perfect. Okay.
You'll get hit with our friendly.
This was fun. Absolutely.
Cool.
See you next week.
Sounds like a plan. And also one last thing is, if we haven't hit you with enough stuff, we're having a webinar next Thursday. Okay. We're hosting a free webinar for you to come learn exactly about this, how to unlock your best A1C and ditch fad diets for good. So please join us on that webinar. Again, just get on our email list and then you will receive information about it. And we hope to see you there.
That's fantastic.
Terry,
Thanks,
I'm not
Jordan.
diabetic, but I love following MD for excellent research information provided. Awesome. Terry, we love you too.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Bye, everybody.